Hey YouTube, I just wanted to throw together a quick video tonight and discuss a couple of comments I've received and a private message on my most recent videos, and also a little tidbit on another subroutine of the presuppositional apologetic. And the reason I wanted to bring the comments together with this particular subroutine is they illustrate, I think, some of the end results of some of this binary thinking and the need to appeal to authority on the part of some theists, and this sort of whole linear thinking that Psi does, and I've found that other theists online do, not just because of this, obviously beforehand, but I don't think I'm betraying any trusts here or any privacy, or this is a private message, I'm going to keep it private, but I just wanted to read you one sentence from a message that I received. If you claim to have knowledge, that's fine and dandy, but if you don't have someone smarter than you to agree, then your claim holds zero weight. Do you get this? No, actually I don't get this. This is more binary thinking. This is absolute stuff. If knowledge really worked that way, it would be very simple, because all we'd have to do is we would just have to give everyone on the planet IQ tests and take the person with the highest IQ and say, okay, you're running the show, right? Whatever you say, we're good. We'll go with that, right? And so it doesn't work that way. Of course, knowledge is much more complex than that, and that's a point that I think Psi misses as well. As I mentioned in my toolbox video, I think everything is analogous to a toolbox, or knowledge is anyway. One other commenter on my video had said, I was trying to explain to him the origin of knowledge, or the naturalistic explanation for knowledge, and I was talking about infants, that infants don't know the stuff that we know, so we're learning this stuff. It's not, it doesn't come from a divine source. And he says, well, if that's the case, then how does a baby learn what a chair is if it didn't know it already? I don't know, are double face palms still in vogue? At any rate, let's go into the subroutine of the presupposition that this actually leads us towards, and that's Psi's assertion that a naturalistic view of the acquisition of knowledge leads to an infinite regress, which it doesn't. He'll say that I know A because of B, and I know B because of C, and I know C because of D. And it doesn't stop at the end of the language, or at the end of the alphabet. It leads to an infinite regress. And again, no challenges. Well, of course, it doesn't end in an infinite regress. It ends at the first thing you learned, right? It ends at infancy. That's where that goes back to, right? And you could even make the argument that that's the same as our species as well. And knowledge is so much more complex than that anyway, because you have occupational knowledge, you have street smarts, you have intuition, you have studious knowledge. And I think it was Aristotle that said, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And I think that's definitely true with knowledge. When we combine street smarts with studious knowledge, I think what you end up with there is more than just the addition of those two. And I think we're doing ourselves a great disservice if we discount life experience and this knowledge that's very difficult to quantify. And so it would be very silly to take a panel of 10 people and say, well, this guy appears to be the smartest one in the room, we will discount everything that everyone else has to say on the matter. And really, argument stands on its own merits anyway. That's why we call the appeal to authority a fallacy, because it's not the individual that's important, it's the concept that's important. The validity of the argument is what's important. And so at any rate, the ABC linear progression of knowledge, if that were really true, we wouldn't be very smart, because it takes a long time to learn things in a linear fashion, to learn A and then learn B and then learn C. Of course, what we do, as starting in infancy, we learn A, and then we learn B, and then we learn C, but eventually we reach a point where we have to use the combination of A, B, and C, and a little bit of computational power that's starting to arise to glean, D, E, F, G, H, and I all at once, right? And again, to me, this is analogous to the toolbox. I mean, if you have a Phillips screwdriver, you're limited in the jobs you can do. You might be able to fix a remote control car and a toaster, and maybe do a couple of things on your car, but it's pretty limited. Add one tool, add a crescent wrench to that, Now you've only doubled your tools, but you've increased the number of jobs you can do by multitudes, right? And if you add a third tool, a tool of your choice, hammer, whatever you want, suddenly the number of jobs that you can do with those three tools is definitely more than 3 times what you could do with the single tool. To me, this is totally analogous to knowledge. It's definitely how it works, and I think it's also we can equate this to our development as a species as well. I mean, I don't think you'd find very many Neanderthal computer programmers, right? And so we're literally, as the saying goes, standing on the shoulders of giants in that respect, because not only have we learned those things slowly, you know, we had to pass them on, and so. You know, in the days of oral traditions, if your tribe got wiped out, the oral traditions went with it. And then, of course, we moved on to clay tablets, cylinder seals, and papyrus, and that sort of thing that were better for us passing that knowledge on, but they were still subject to a lot of environmental degradation and that sort of thing. Fast forward to today, and a guy can throw a PDF on the internet, and it can be have simultaneous multiple downloads and be stored on multiple hard drives all over the world, and so it's really preserved for all intents and purposes. I mean, I think whatever would cause all of that to not be preserved anymore might just wipe us out anyway. So I don't think you can make the argument very well. Of course, the argument on Sai's end is that he gets his knowledge from, the knowledge comes from a divine source, but of course without any evidence for that. But I think if that were the case, then I think our species would have been a lot smarter in the earlier days. I don't think we would have slowly built up all this knowledge over time. That's, to me, very, very indicative and supportive of a naturalistic worldview of the acquisition of knowledge. So naturalistic knowledge worldview leads to an infinite regress? I think not. Thanks for watching. Have a good evening.